aren't all these styles, these old styles, just lovely, man? You could write a book on them all. They're incredible. In fact, there probably is a book out there on styles of the Lake District. A bit of an annoyance to start off this hike. A lot of you will remember I went to Madeira, and for the flight, I took off like the kind of hip belt, the waist belt thing on this bag, which comes out, which is fantastic, just for the sake of luggage and stuff when I was flying. But I keep forgetting to put it back on. So annoying, man. But it's fine. I'll just have to have aching shoulders over the next couple of days. But welcome back to the wonderful Lake District. Oh, and we are hiking today, ladies and gents, up a beautifully named fell called Crinkle Crags. It's one that I have been up before, but not as part of my Wainwright series, which, by the way, I'm looking forward to getting back into a little bit. It's been a while since I've been out on a hike. It's a beautifully atmospheric day here in this part of the lakes. So Crinkle Crags makes up part of the southern fells, and I mean, saying that, nice and atmospheric, it looks like at some point that clag is low enough that we're going to end up in the thick of it all. But that all remains to be seen. Mainly though, I'm just so excited to be out hiking again, and of course getting stuck into some landscape photography in the fells. We've got the Nikon Z7 today, and I absolutely love these conditions for photography, so looking forward to it. So I've chosen a little bit of a strange route to come up Crinkle Crags, and only because something that I've mentioned previously on this channel is that a lot of these Wainwright fells, these mountain peaks here in the Lake District, are quite close to each other. And so if you're not careful, you'll end up going up the same path several times, and 80% of your hike will be the same hike that you've already done to get up to another mountain, if that makes sense. So, not the end of the world, and I'm not too strict on this one. I don't care for the most part, but personally, I just like taking different routes up where I can. So yeah, for this fell, I've parked down in a really small hamlet. It's just a farm really, called Cockley Beck. And then, I mean, there's not really even a path up this particular fell here, and I'll show you around it. It's so sort of desolate feeling and wild and bleak as well. I always use the word bleak in a positive sense. Remember that, that's not me complaining. And it's essentially just off-piste up this fell, and I reckon we're about a third of the way through it, but it is just wonderful. It is beautiful, out in these atmospheric conditions. No one's going to be coming up this fell today. We've got some herdwicks kicking about the gaff. It's just me and them. It's just me and you lads today, and it is fantastic. It is peaceful. It's a reset, isn't it? To come to these parts of this wonderful national park, or anywhere. It doesn't have to be a national park. It doesn't have to be anywhere particularly photogenic or conventionally attractive. This is just quiet, desolate and peaceful. And I feel lucky that I've got access to this, man. This is fantastic. So yeah, I'm going to enjoy the peace. I might stop soon and have a drink, because that, in fairness, has been a bit of a slog. So I've been spending a little bit of time in this area here. I mean, really what caught my eye in the first place was this top section here, all these wonderful little peaks, these crinkles, as it were. And that's one thing that I really do love about this particular section of the national park, is the texture in the rocks. It is fantastic. And I tried a few different compositions sort of further back here, using this little mound as a bit of foreground, but it all felt a little bit too simplistic in a bad way. just not enough interest, Whereas now I've stumbled across this little sort of twin falls here, which seems really nice. But I've only just got here, so my job now is I'll probably take my bag off and yeah, just wander around, see if I can make these work with this beautifully textured background. So I'm not completely sold on this one. It's in what I would call snapshot territory, which, yeah, I guess means I'm thinking it's going to be fairly average. It wasn't what I was envisaging. I thought I was going to be able to get down there close to the waterfalls, really get close to them with a wide angle lens and make them large in the frame. But the trouble is, because it's so deep and low down here, it's basically a gorge, little mini gorge, you kind of lose all of this over this way, you know, all of these peaks and all of this beautiful texture that I was on about. So yeah, in that sense it's a little bit of a shame, but I've stuck the wide angle lens on the front, and all I'm trying to do is have these falls over on the kind of left hand side of the frame. We've got a 3-stop ND filter on, which is helping to slow down that shutter speed a little bit, get us some nice milky water. And I think that's nice because, you know, this is a scene that's already got so much texture. So I think if I'm going to freeze the motion out of the water, in my opinion, it ends up becoming a bit of a texture overload. Now the only problem is really, or the main problem is, because I'm quite far away from the waterfalls with the wide angle lens, they're sort of getting lost a little bit, which is a shame. But yeah, pleasant little snapshot nonetheless.
So instead of giving up on this location altogether, I stuck around a while longer just to see if I could squeeze anything else out of the scene, and I managed to find a little bit of a different perspective by getting closer to the falls and incorporating our small gorge as it led out into the mist.
Yeah, I'm so glad that I sort of took the time to continue exploring. I think sometimes it's easier to just say, nah, I've got the best out of that location and move on. It is for me anyway, especially when I'm out on a bit of a bigger adventure where you've sort of got somewhere to be, in a sense, when you're doing a hike, haven't you? i.e. the peak of the mountain that you're hiking towards. But yeah, if you've got the means, if you've got the time, I'd always say try your best to not give in to that feeling of, now there's nothing else here. Easier said than done, but sometimes there could be a lot of value in that, and in that case I think that was probably a nice little photograph. I also got an image with the drone as well. I was just flying it up, getting a little bit of video footage and stuff, but that looked pretty cool as well. Again, I was just trying my best to make the most of some of the beautiful textures in this part of the Lake District. So I just thought I'd give you a quick update on the route. There you can see is Crinkle Crags. Whoops, there's Crinkle Crags there. Look at all of them little ups and downs there. That's going to be fantastic for the photography, well, hopefully. And yeah, we're headed in this direction up here. We just need to get to the top of this little gill. We sort of take a right, and then this area here will probably be back on normal footpaths. But by the way, this app is called Footpath. I've paid for it with my own money. I'm not affiliated with it or anything, but I think it's fantastic. It's got Ordnance Survey maps on it and sort of loads of different types of map styles and stuff. But for anybody that's used the normal OS Maps app, you might have had this problem. I certainly did. I just found it was all right, but just so slow, like really unresponsive. Sometimes it'd be taking me like 15 to 20 seconds just to get the map up, and it doesn't sound a lot, but when you're doing it each time just to quickly check where you are, it gets really annoying. But yeah, Footpath, check it out. It is really, really good. I'm a big fan of it. So as exciting as all the topography of the landscape looks, we have now, that looks cool, doesn't it? That kind of descends into that atmosphere, that mist. But yeah, that's us up in the Clag now, as I sort of guessed earlier on. It has been moving. You know, there's a good breeze today. It's quite windy higher up here at times. So I'm hoping that it just keeps moving and gaps, come and go, and perhaps we get some light and stuff. But I mean, I don't mind it. I've really missed this. you know, just coming out in any sort of weather and just kind of accepting the challenge in terms of the photography. But you know, this won't take too much enjoyment away from the hike. Of course, it's always nice to get the extensive views and everything like that, but you know, we don't know what's going to happen yet. It might all open up. So yeah, not too far from all them wonderful little crinkles of today's Wainwright, and onwards. Just to show you quickly as we move on, I mean, you can probably hear the wind, but like I was saying, look, it's all just cleared up. I mean, this might only last another 20 seconds, I don't know. But the wind's coming from behind us there, and you can see it, how it's just blowing away all of that low clag. And then if I spin you around, look, yeah, it's just started to clear up a little bit. As I was looking there, I might have a look at that atmosphere there. That is fantastic. And then we've got a couple of little puddles there. See how I'm starting to perhaps piece together a photograph. Wow, that looks absolutely fantastic. This, as you're looking at it right there, whoa, ladies and gents, oh, that's my passion. That's exactly why I love this part of the Lake District. I'm going to try and grab a quick snap here whilst we've got all of that low cloud over there. Oh, it's just wonderful. Like I said, this is my passion. This is why I love this part of Cumbria, the cragginess, and then when you get it on an atmospheric day like this, oh gosh, it looks fantastic right at this moment in time as well. So yeah, absolute blind luck really, that I just managed to stumble on all of this wonderful foreground down here. I'll try to spin you around. And then we've just got the sort of prominent peak that you can see there is Piker Blisco, and he's fantastic. Nice little bit of mid-ground. There's so much depth to this photograph. And then right up in the background, I can see what has to be Windermere, which is quite a way away, but you know, biggest lake in England. You can see it from a lot of vantage points. But again, just adding depth, it's like a third part of the image in terms of depth, if you will. You know, we've got a true foreground, midground and background, and yeah, so lucky that I stumbled upon all of this here. So we've just popped it into aperture priority mode, and then I've stuck it on f11. We're on ISO 320, and I think it's around about a 1/100th of a second exposure time. And yeah, this is fantastic. I'll probably stick around, wow, for another 5 minutes or so, because it's all changing so much as these winds are coming through here. Class, man. Wow, look at all the snow down there. I'll tell you what, it's a good job I didn't come up that route. I'd have never got past all that. So as I was eating there, well, in fact, I think mostly before I was eating, it was just not like it is now, really claggy. We had fairly extensive views, to be honest, but it was still really atmospheric. It was great. So that's why the tripod's set up, because I was just firing off a load of shots, really, trying to make the most of the visibility, because, well, I was thinking it might not last forever, but I think some of them were probably quite nice, to be honest with you. Really kind of trying to make the most of all the cragginess down here in the foreground. I was taking some just handheld, and a few with the tripod as well, just to keep the ISO down, because we haven't got any light. Obviously, when I was shooting handheld, the ISO was going up to like ISO 800 and stuff, which otherwise I wouldn't really be too bothered about. But when you lug a tripod up a fell, you kind of want to use it, don't you? There's no point in photographing away at ISO 800. However, I'm sure one or two of them were probably all right, and I shall pop them up now. So Wainwright explains in his guides that Crinkle Crags has 5 different crinkles, well, in this case literally 5 different summits really. However, the second summit that you get to, if you're coming from the south, which is exactly what we're doing today, that is the true summit of the fell itself, of Crinkle Crags, and thus the Wainwright. So he says in clear visibility it should be really nice and obvious where the summit is and that, but I mean, yeah, not today. So we're just gonna have to keep heading off into the clag until we find it. But I think by the time we get up there it should be quite obvious, and I don't know if this is going to clear up, you know, I really don't. I mean, you have seen all morning and all afternoon that it has been clearing up, but you know, you just get a sense of it sometimes that it feels a bit different. This feels different, feels too thick, but I'll hold on a little bit of hope for now anyway. So I don't know if that is the summit or whether or not it's that one there, just on the other side of that tarn. So I'm going to have to touch both of them just to be sure. Well, it appears neither of those were the summits, because there's a little hill there that to me is clearly higher than both of them. So that is the summit. Oh, there we go. So there's the summit of Crinkle Crags in the can, and first protocol is to get out of this frigging wind. We ain't going to be taking any photographs here. Wow. Oh, so there we go. We're back to the van. Look at that, the messy van. We bought a table, a new dining table the other day, and I put the bed down, slid it on, and it's just not been sorted out since. Before you go, I wanted to say something, and I always forget to do this for reasons that I'll get into in a second, but please sign up to my newsletter. I'll put a link in the video description below. I have some good chats on there with you. I talk about topics that, you know, I often don't in my YouTube videos. The thing is, these YouTube videos are a very specific way of communicating, where I always think it's like a live photo shoot. And even though that hike that we've just done there was like probably 6 hours or something daft, you know, this video is probably only like 15 minutes long. So there's only so much that I can say, whereas the newsletters are great because I can get stuck into topics that, you know, it's more cohesive. I can chat about things in a completely different way. So I would love you to sign up. And yeah, I mean, people that sign up to my newsletter hear about stuff first and things like that. But you'll also get a free guide to composition, which is a nice little freebie that'll just come into your emails once you've signed up. But anyway, link in the video description below. Please do go and check that out and give us a follow on social media and stuff like that. And thank you so much for watching today. This has been wonderful. So nice to be, you know, out on a hike again. Yous are all fantastic, and I hope to see you next week. See you on the next adventure. Out.